So lately, I've matched with, right now I can't go out a whole lot because I'm working on myself, my finances, and truthfully, going out's just not the same as it used to be and all that. It can be at certain places at certain times, but the days of like going out, on a Friday or Saturday and just night and just expecting there to be a lot of people your age and expecting like lots of women to talk to, blah, blah, blah. That's just not always guaranteed anymore, unfortunately. Like it may have used to be slightly more guaranteed. I mean, it was never fully, but I mean, it kind of was. In many places, the weekend was the weekend. If you wanted to go out and at least try to talk to people, you could. But, so I'm eating my porridge. But I kind of just realized, like, dude, I match with these two girls. One of them's a MILFy poo. One of them's my age. Oh, thank goodness it's the dog. One of them's my age, and, clearly, the former is casual. The second one I like more because there's potential for a relationship. And she was my type and all that stuff. So I got distracted for a couple days. We were talking on the phone. I got distracted for a couple days with the MILFy poo, who of course is way enthusiastic, She's trying to get me into her frame. Have you earned any kisses? It's like, girl, you're lucky to kiss me, It's like I'm younger than you, But, it's worked in the past. I've had good experiences with women like that. It's just that you got to know the assignment. It's like, you're no longer in power. I know you really want to be, but that's just not how it works. Especially when in their heyday, they weren't wise and they had less rules. It's like, you're not going to have more rules with less power. It's just not going to happen, Put up with it for a minute to see what happens. I can't put up with it forever. So I kind of come to my senses after hanging out with her, and I'm in the talking stages with all these people. It's not like I'd be doing this if I was in a bona fide relationship. This was the first time I'd ever met this woman, Just wanted to see what happened, blah, 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 and nothing did happen, So I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to focus on, and I haven't even met the younger one. We're just chatting online. She's a little bit further away, which is another part of my reasoning. So I was like, well, let's just focus on the one that's my age, blah, blah, blah. And so I started to get back into her, but we kind of fell off while I was distracted with the MILFy pie. And unfortunately, it was sort of one of those things where, and I was kind of tired those last couple of days because I didn't sleep for a night and then got poor sleep a couple days after that. And, so I didn't call her, She likes to talk on the phone. We talked to the phone a little bit. And I sent this, like, poem, but it wasn't my best one. And I think I used the word, like, creepy in it. So that she's like, oh, do I make you feel uncomfortable? And just, like, it's like, no, you don't. You're a girl. It's like, sometimes there's the fantasies and lack of just... I'm not the most logical person, but I recognize just pure truth. It's like, this is the talking stage. We're pursuing each other, but I'm the man. It's like you kind of have, it's about whether or not you're comfortable right now, because, I'm the one who's more or less courting you because, men and women, although we have equal rights, we're different, and therefore we're not always equal in everything. Therefore, the courting is still, has to be done by the man a lot of times. Most of the time, pretty much, so there you go. So, I kind of regret doing that, and it's just another lesson, like, if you go for the low-hanging fruit, you might miss the ripe fruit that you really want. I've done this a lot of times in my life, because I, unfortunately, am a lustful person, so, it's just one of those things, and it can be tough because, like, as far as the MILFy pie, like, I was giving her some pseudo-romantic stuff and everything because I am a nice guy. Nothing too love-bomby, just like, just kind of going along with it, blah, blah, blah. Still staying in the moment, like, no promises made. And it's just like in this culture where women do have so many of the same powers and everything, you know, it's like, you don't get to sit there, and especially with this dynamic, like I said, it would be different with the one my age and stuff, but it's like with the Milfy Pie, it's like you don't get to sit there and, you know, want all this, you know, relationship like attention and, not get, sexual at all or only a little bit. It's just like, by that I even mean just like flirting in those types of ways and blah, blah, blah. And I get it to a certain degree, but it's just like, So in my opinion, if you're going to go the Milfy Poo route, keep it at arm's length. Don't even engage in maybes. You should probably just be like, yeah, I'm looking, at least, maybe get in the door and then just be like, look, I am open and stuff, like I said, but I think this is probably in a casual direction. And you can say it, just get acquainted. You can say it before anything intimate happens. And, just don't let it screw anything up, because now it kind of has. Maybe that's what I get for talking to more than one people at once, but you kind of have to. Like, none of these girls are my girlfriends. I haven't been intimate with any of these girls. And if they were, or if I had, then I would have stopped. But it's like you have to, I'm meeting people because I'm looking for the person that I do want to stop talking to everyone for. So just be careful out there, and we'll see what happens. And here's the thing is, like, the one my age is still kind of there. She still wants to hang out, but she might want to just do that for the fun, for the whatever, because she's bored, because I might take her places, because I'm going to, like, pick her up because she doesn't drive. And, something, whereas the other one picked me up. But it's just like, at that point, man, at that point, what is the point, But at that point, it's like, I think I'm going to look at it. So I'm thinking, like, should I just point blank say, like, look, are we still where we were at? Because I don't really want to hang out with you unless it's in a clear, promising, romantic direction with where intimacy will be eventually, involved without too much courting. I'm not going to, like I said, we're adults. I'm not going to court someone forever. I'll court someone for a while. I'm okay with hanging out, without intimacy, getting to know each other, a couple or even a few times. But, I don't like that, because then it just gives them the dynamic of, like, then that's their frame, that's in their powerhouse. So I that's the reason why I want desire right away, or almost right away. I want her to be controlling herself. That's something different, So I think what I'm going to do is look at it selfishly myself. And I'm already going to that area to take pictures and do sightseeing and music videos and stuff. So I'll hang out with her. And heck, maybe I'll even take her along. Maybe I can rebuild it. But I'm going to do so selfishly myself. If she's going to be selfish and no longer be interested in me, then I'm just going to mirror that a little bit and be like, even if nothing happens, even if she's no longer interested, it's still a date with a girl that's my type. It's still a good experience. So selfishly, just like she's selfishly hanging out with me just to, get out of the house, I'll selfishly as well hang out with her for the experience. So, that's what's happening now.